I knew that Foggy was gonna die like a year ago. I mean, there were lots of set photos and set videos being leaked on YouTube and Twitter exactly a year ago, and I was so surprised that Disney didn't do anything with the DMCA's, or nobody shoot the cameraman, the journalist out of the set. It was on a YouTube channel called Splash News. If you're really looking for spoilers, you can literally find photos and footage of Foggy dying on YouTube. So I'm happen to be one of the few people who actually knows that Foggy was gonna die. When I first saw the leaked photos, the behind the scenes footage, part of me was hoping that Foggy lying on the ground was just him being critically injured, and I was right in a way because he was critically injured for a while until he in the end did not make it. Like he didn't get shot in the head. He didn't die on the spot. He suffered for quite a while until Matt heard his heartbeat stop. And yeah, the death was devastating. I mean, I've been dreading this show coming up for a long time. I was looking forward to it, but one of the things that kept me from fully positively excited was the fact that I know that Foggy was going to get killed by Bullseye. But in this video, I want to tell you why I am confident that Foggy's death is not permanent, that he is going to come back and not, very possibly not in a flashback. And one of the most important things that I have to talk about is this interview done with the producer Brad Winterbaum by the journalist called Brandon Davis. And you can find this interview on YouTube. And I'm not surprised that not a lot of people know that Foggy is coming back for season 2, because this interview has only around 9,000 views on YouTube. And it was an interview about Brandon Davis asking Brad Winterbaum about Foggy's death, because by the time this interview came out, the show had already come out and they were allowed to talk about spoilers. Brad Winterbaum mentioned that Foggy and Karen are coming back for season 2 right after they addressed Foggy's death. And the reason why I'm confident that it is not just a flashback is that Brad Winterbaum, you can tell from the way Brad Winterbaum said about Foggy and Karen that he took them very seriously. He understands that, he said it himself, that there is no Matt's story without Foggy and Karen, and they are intrinsically tied to Matt and Daredevil's character. They are like the Ron and Hermione to Matt Murdock's Harry Potter. And you know, this show was like bringing back Ron and Hermione only to kill off Ron within the first 15 minutes. It was crazy and it was very ballsy, but I'm not sure that it is going to work in the long run if they make Foggy's death permanent. I mean, this is the main catalyst of Matt Murdock's story in Born Again. You're trying to set up a story that's about Matt giving up on being Daredevil in parallel to Kingpin, Wilson Fisk giving up on being a crime boss, and then you're going to see both of them working towards eventually becoming their true self. Like Daredevil's gonna eventually go back to being Daredevil, and Kingpin's eventually going to go back to being the Kingpin. And what happens after Daredevil finally comes back to being Daredevil? What happens when Daredevil finally overcomes this arc of being affected by Foggy's death? Is the rest of the series going to work with Foggy and Karen no longer present? I mean, we already know that Karen is going to come back, at least in the last 2 episodes of Born Again's first season. I mean, I remember that there was this one shot of Karen getting out of a car that was in the Born Again's trailer that has not shown up in the first 2 episodes yet. So you can tell that they are not done with Karen in the first season. So I believe that something big is going to happen, and Karen is definitely going to come back to New York. And she's going to have an even more prominent role in season 2. And I believe that Foggy is gonna come back as well. And how they're gonna address Foggy's coming back, I don't really know, but I really look forward to it, as long as it is not just a flashback. And that leads us to the second important reason why I believe that Foggy's death is a fake out. It was the number of the address of Nielsen, Murdoch, and Page's sign. It was the same issue number of the very comic where Foggy Nielsen faked his death. So you can tell that the people who shot these scenes, the people who worked on this story, who were planning Foggy getting killed by Bullseye, they did their homework. There were several times when Foggy dies in the comics, and most of them ends with Foggy either faking his death or Foggy being saved by Daredevil, because there was this one time when Foggy actually dies and Daredevil went all the way to hell to bring him back. But I don't think they're gonna do it this way, because they wanted to stay grounded as a street level superhero story. But I believe that they are going to come up with a way to explain Foggy coming back, and most possibly being a witness protection. Now you're going to wonder, I'm going to wonder how they're going to do it, because Foggy getting shot was very sudden, and you did hear his heartbeat stop, and you did see his eyes remaining open after he dies. I mean, he looks very dead to me. And you also have Matt Murdock's speech during the hearing, during the sentencing of Bullseye, emphasizing that Foggy is dead, that he and Karen is not going to see him again, and not ever. Like, they're trying very hard to convince us that Foggy is dead. They're trying so hard that it makes me believe that they're setting up for a fake out, and that's what I'm really hoping for. And you're probably asking, why did they bring back Foggy and Karen only to write them out of the show this quickly? And the reason is because they were originally not going to keep the Netflix show as canon. So they shot a lot of footage. They used a new cast of characters, and they were originally going to kill off Foggy and Karen off screen, which is something that I am very grateful that they decided to change, because if that actually happens, I'm probably going to drop the MCU altogether, just like I did with the CW/DC universe. Because Daredevil, the relationship between Matt and Foggy and Karen is something very important, very sacred to me. Despite all the negative things that happen in the MCU, their relationship, Daredevil's story, the emotional core, that is something that I really held on to. So what they did is, fortunately, the writer's strike happened, and it gave them the opportunity to reflect on the things that they've shot so far, about originally making Daredevil a soft reboot and dropping the Netflix continuity. But they found out that it was not working, so they decided to do an overhaul and bring back the old actors. But even so, they still shot a considerable amount of footage, and they are not going to scrap all of them, so they have to use some of the pre-shot footage. And most of these pre-shot footage already had Karen and Foggy written out of the story. So what they did is they brought back Foggy and Karen's actors. They brought back Bullseye as well, and they shot that scene to kill off Foggy, and have Karen move to San Francisco to deal with Foggy's death. And that way, you're going to go through a few episodes with the already shot footage. And then once we get through the pre-overhaul footage, things are going to get very spicy, because you're going to get to the parts where they were trying very hard to go back to the Netflix continuity. You're going to see Punisher coming back. and you're going to see Karen coming back after they already shot pre-overhaul footage. And what I believed is that, you know, Daredevil has, Matt Murdock has a new partner in Kirsten McDuffie, and he has a new girlfriend in Heather Glenn, who I like referring to as Mother Coral, the female Zabrak in The Acolyte. She was not exactly a likable figure. And because Heather Glenn already died in the comics, I believe that what they're going to do is they're gonna kill off Heather Glenn in the later half of the first season of Daredevil Born Again. Probably make her a victim of Muse or something, because I remember seeing this scene of Daredevil raging out and doing that primal scream, iconic primal scream, in the same scene where he was fighting Muse. So there's a possibility that Heather probably ended up as another victim of Muse. So your new temporary love interest gets killed off, and then you're gonna bring back Matt Murdock's Mary Jane, or in the comics it was his Gwen Stacy, because Karen Page died in the comics. But I think in the show it was Karen was more like Matt Murdock's Mary Jane. You're gonna bring back Matt Murdock's Mary Jane. You're gonna bring back Karen, and then she's gonna have important roles, something to do with fighting Muse or fighting Bullseye, and that is eventually going to lead up to season 2, and probably finally setting up a Foggy coming back from the dead. And that is something that I am very, very looking forward to, because I think that with this overhaul, this show, you know, Daredevil Born Again is probably the most important post-Endgame MCU project since Spider-Man No Way Home. I think even more than Deadpool and Wolverine, because I don't think that Deadpool is the real Marvel Jesus. I think that Daredevil, Charlie Cox Daredevil, is the real Marvel Jesus. He is the character with the most aura in the MCU right now since Spider-Man, since Iron Man and Captain America. I don't think that Spider-Man even counts, because that is a Spider-Man without Uncle Ben and without Mary Jane. But Matt Murdock has a Foggy Nelson and a Karen Page. You know, I think that he is currently the most important anchor being in the MCU right now, despite being just a street level television superhero. And I am very grateful that they brought this back, because I think that this is one of the most important shows that kept me interested in post-Endgame MCU right now. So that's it. If you like my video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to talking about more about Daredevil Born Again in the future episodes. And I will see you in the next video.